Hi everyone, this is Mark Rhoden with a preview of Saturday's Randwick Guineas. I'm going to be going through this race with reference to the worksheets from my database that I use to do the form and come up with my markets. I've done a few little videos and podcasts before using these. They'll be archived on the Winning Edge website and even on YouTube, I believe. So if you want a more in-depth look at how the worksheets are used, you can find them there. I won't go into huge amounts of detail today, but I will be making reference to it, and I'll explain what I'm doing as I'm going. Right, this is the master sheet of my worksheet. It's just got all the basic information like runners and riders, trainer, etc. The most important thing for my purposes on this page is the race figure. That is derived from, not an average, but it's derived from the rating that the race in question has gone to in years gone by. You can see last year, Kimentari won, and the race returned a figure of 113. He won by length and a half, and it was a pretty strong year. Leaving out these rather lesser editions of the race back a few years ago, look in the last 3 years when Romain, Inference and Kimentari have won. The race is always rated at least 110, and it certainly looks like it will rate at least that this year, given the strength of the field. So I'm using 110 as the race figure. From the race figure, we derive a figure each horse in the race must do to be capable of winning, given the amount of weight it's carrying today. We'll look closer at that as we go through the horses. First up, we'll have a look at the speed map that I've come up with. Not a huge amount of speed here. Vega Days, I imagine, will lead like he did last start, and Fundamentalist was very close to the pace last week too. Diplomatico is drawn to get a better run today, up in distance. Purple Sector behind it. Nikita Jones drawn the outside of 9, but I think she should be able to get in and get across. It sort of depends what McAvoy wants to do in the Autumn Sun. If he wants to make a bit more use of barrier 4, he could certainly be closer. And then we've got the back markers here. This Fabulous drawn towards the outside again, probably goes back. The New Zealand and Madison County gets back, and Arameo probably on a Derby campaign. He'll be going back. Only a moderate tempo, but the key horse, the Autumn Sun, is drawn to be not too far off them at any stage. All right, we'll have a look at each of the runners. It's a quality race, but in terms of winning chances, it's probably a bit thin, and that's due to the presence of this horse, the Autumn Sun. His job figure, the figure he needs to do, or any of the colts carrying 56.5 need to do to win this, is close enough to 112. He won first up on a soft track. I was of the opinion that if he was to be vulnerable this preparation, that would be the time he would be. See, last preparation he ran first up in the Stan Fox on a soft track and was beaten, rating quite a way off his best. But second up, he improved markedly and was a brilliant winner of the Golden Rose. And then, of course, sat off the track in the Caulfield Guineas and won by 4.5 lengths. Well, this time he's come back. He's come back in even better form than he did first up last time, and then he was actually able to win the Hobartville from quite a difficult position on the turn. He was well off the speed and a moderate pace, but he really powered to the line in the last 200 and got the job done. He didn't race. He only rated 109, which isn't close to his best, but if he follows the same pattern as last time, and with that run on his under his belt and on a dry surface, assuming the race forecast showers aren't too bad on Saturday, there's no reason he can't go to that figure again. This figure of 113 in the Caulfield Guineas, while in absolute terms is lower than what he rated in the Golden Rose. Yeah, you remember the wide trip he had. He was 3 wide at least the whole way, and won with Consummate Ease. So the actual value of that performance is higher than the final rating suggests. Anyway, in terms of assessing him for Saturday, I've given him 115, and that's well clear of what he needs to do to win. He has to be clear favourite, and I'll get to the pricing we'll come up with later, but yes, he's clearly the one they'll have to beat. Moving on to number 2, Madison County, Group 1 winner in New Zealand. These New Zealand figures we source from a third party. They're a good guide. They're not set in stone, but they'd certainly give us a guide of how the New Zealand form stacks up with the Australian form. Again, of course, needing to do 112 to be a genuine winning chance. We can see Madison County's best is only 109, which is going to leave him short. He's raced well in 2 runs this time in. He was favourite in the Karaka Million last start, got a long way back, worked home. Rated 104 on both of those occasions. I'm inclined to think he's ready to go to his best, but his best isn't going to be good enough to get to the mark, let alone beat the Autumn Sun. So he really, to win this, has to find a new level. Vega Days has had an incredible preparation. This is, he debuted in January, Canterbury, and has just taken a step forward more or less each start. He took a step forward second start, then a big step forward on the soft track at his 3rd start, and he all but maintained that when he raced the Autumn Sun in the Hobartville. I'm of the opinion that really was his chance to beat him. The Autumn Sun was a bit vulnerable. Vega Days was at his peak. Vega Days will get a very good run on the speed again, which is a plus. It's his first time out to 1600, which will suit the Autumn Sun more and arguably Vega Days less, but he will get a good run on the speed. That said, I'm not inclined to think that he'll go better than he already has, which is 110 at his 5th run in his first campaign. He's a very nice horse, but as I said, I think that was his chance to beat the Autumn Sun last time. 110 won't quite get in there, but it'll make him competitive. He's certainly a place chance. Expect him to go well if he's not over the top at his 5th run in, but I don't think he'll be beating the Autumn Sun. Arameo, I assume, is headed towards the longer races, Rosehill Guineas, Australian Derby, those sort of races. His best run so far was in the Spring Champion on a soft track over 2,000 metres last spring. He was very poorly ridden in the Autumn Classic last start down at Caulfield, so inclined to give that run. Drops back to 1,600 here and gets McDonald on. Another one. 110's his best. It's not going to be good enough to win, and I think the stable will have their eye on other targets down the track. He's not really a winning chance in this, in my opinion. Diplomatico is an interesting runner. He was a very expensive purchase as a yearling. He showed great ability in his campaign in the autumn. A dominant maiden win first up, then was able to win at listed level in the Brian Crowley second up, despite being unsuited by the soft track that day, I think, and then got a bit lost in the Coolmore and probably had enough. He was produced first up in a restricted or benchmark race, and he didn't have much room, and he worked home okay. You Make Me Smile set up a break and sort of dominated that race. He was certainly best of the beaten brigade and can certainly be expected to improve. This is a big leap, though. First time at 1,600, and this is a much stronger assignment than what he tackled first up. I think he's got a lot of scope, so I've been inclined to give him upright near the best he's shown so far, but he'd have to go a level above that to be troubling the likes of the Autumn Sun. So, I've always liked him as a horse. I just don't think this is a good race for him, especially at set weights. Moving on to Purple Sector, who is looking for this trip and further, no doubt. He was he was sort of back with the Autumn Sun in the Hobartville battle, maybe with him or a length behind him, and comprehensively outpaced in the last 200 metres. 1,600 will suit Purple Sector better, but I just can't see any conceivable way of him getting any closer than that to the Autumn Sun. A horribly placed to set weights. There's other more suitable races for him down the track, I would say. Move on to the 3 fillies. You can see as they are carrying 2 kilos less, their to-do figure is slightly less as well. They only need to do a touch over 110. Nikita Jane is the best of the 3. She's undefeated this time in. Terrific win in the Surround Stakes. Sat wide, did have cover, but worked home very strongly. She's by, so you think 1,600 should be ideal. Third up now, I think, in her second preparation. Again, she needs to improve off that, and she certainly has the scope to. I've allowed her, in terms of ratings points, a little bit of improvement. She really does need to make a full, 4 to 5 points, which is in lengths terms, 2 to 2.5 lengths improvement off that to be beating the Autumn Sun if he goes to his best. It's not entirely beyond her, but I've been a bit conservative in the way I've assessed her, and I don't think if the Autumn Sun produces his best, as I expect him to, second up, that Nikita Jane can beat him. If the Autumn Sun has an off day, which is always a possibility in any race, she would be the hardest for the remainder to beat. But I would be surprised if she were able to beat the Autumn Sun if he is on his game on Saturday. Next to the fillies is Fundamentalist, like Nikita Jane and Miss Fabulous, all backing up out of the Surround Stakes. She will get a very good run on the speed. Her best ever run was the narrow second in 1,000 guineas behind Amphitrite back in the spring. She's fourth up that day. She's fourth up here. No reason at all she can't go to at least that level, but that's not going to be good enough. Her form's pretty well exposed. She hasn't really ever struck anyone as the type that's going to be winning Group 1 races against the Colts. She will get every chance, but I think she's a place chance at best. I would expect Nikita Jane to finish in front of her, and I certainly would expect the Autumn Sun to have her measure. Miss Fabulous, the Frankel filly, is the last of the runners. She really did show a great deal of promise in the spring. Been disappointing at her 2 runs this time in. She has had excuses, I suppose. She might have been in the wrong part of the track first up in the Lightfinger Stakes when she was favourite. She drew the outside barrier last week in the Surround, so she was always going to get a long way back. She worked home okay, but not brilliantly. Yeah, again, from the barrier rate of 9, I imagine she'll be towards the rear. It's a bit of a leap of faith to say she's going to improve the 8 to 11 points needed to win this race. So, she's looking for about a 4 to 6 length improvement of what she's shown already this prep in one hit. I doubt she's capable of doing it on Saturday. As I said, she did show that the 2-race stakes win was brilliant, but she hasn't really been able to back that up in 3 runs since, so you are taking her on trust a bit. Anyway, piecing all that together, that leaves us with, as you can see down here, the final market in order. The Autumn Sun a clear favourite. I've marked him pretty aggressively, giving him his very best on Saturday, but I don't see anything to stop him from doing that. He does look perfectly set up, second up, perfect, no problem at 1,600. And like I said, I think if he was to be beaten or if he was to be vulnerable this preparation, it was first up on the soft track in the Hobart Field, and he's got that out of the way. Should really be on into upwards. I've marked him $1.60, which is only about the price he is at the moment. That's not really my price range anyway. It's not really going to be a betting race for me, I wouldn't think. What I would say is if taking a quaddie, I wouldn't be searching any wider than him. I would... the only other horse you could entertain is Nikita Jane, who's only around the $6 mark in early market, so not really any value anyway. I think the way to attack the quaddie would be take the Autumn Sun 1 out and look for a bit of value and go a bit wider on other legs. That's the way I'd be attacking it. Anyway, yes, a very good race, a bit thin chances-wise, and as I said, not really a betting proposition for me, but I hope it's been of some interest in giving you an insight on how I go about doing the form. We'll be making one of these each week through the coming weeks as the carnival progresses. So, yeah, I look forward to doing another and sharing it with you next week. So until then, goodbye.